Los Angeles, California. Welcome to a great show. Welcome to Whitey's Enterprise, presenting the Green Believers. It is said that to have any great opportunity, you must reach deep in the neighborhood to find the right person to guide you. The community is sometimes turned upside down, and everybody is trying to find a way to get back balance. We find ourselves looking for an out. We find ourselves trying to figure out what is better for us as individuals. So as we journey through this process, we are here to understand how to cultivate and manufacture. We're reaching out to many different people to find a common ground. And when we find those common grounds, we bring everybody together and come up with a solution to what we've been missing out on for so long. We missed out on so many things in our lifetime. We missed out on oil because we was not prepared to go that mile. The cotton field was our slavery, so that was a part of our legacy that we left the world to understand. The tech world is just bypassed us because our youngsters wasn't prepared at that time. And now we are in the cannabis world. And the cannabis world is based on the inner city, where so many people from the inner city went to jail for cannabis. And under social equity, they made a mistake by saying they was going to help the black community out and put them in a better place. But we know for a fact that when it came down to helping out and sticking to their words, they transferred and went another way. But in that process, in 2018, the Farm Bill came alive. The Farm Bill was based on hemp that was taken out of the system in the early 50s. And now they're bringing it back in the system because they found it was an opportunity for America to be rich on hemp and other materials. So as hemp have manufactured itself in the community, a whole lot of people don't know how to get there. A whole lot of people don't understand about agriculture or anything like that. They don't understand that they got to get an agriculture license to play in this field. You need property to play in this field. You need to understand that there ain't no such thing as black, white, and brown when you come in business, because business don't have no faces for real. And today I sat back and I've tried to explain to everyone that when you deal with the Green Believers, you're going to find a whole different flow. Because we only here for one thing, only the opportunity to help the community as we go forward in this quest to make sure our children do not be locked up in a jailhouse. So today, Cheryl have reached out to different people, and I'm just Whitey, just putting on the show for her. But the show I'm going to put on is going to be worth it. And you're going to have an opportunity to hear some conversations that may uplift you and put you in the right mood to be a farmer. Yes, a farmer. If you guys asked me 20 years ago, did I want to be a farmer, I would have technically told you no. But 10 years ago, my brother and one of my cousins, they had a farm in Sacramento. And they said they wanted to grow some marijuana. And we looked it up, and we knew that marijuana was getting ready to change the game. And they started growing marijuana without a license. They just thought they could just do it because it was going to be the right thing to do when it came around, when they legalized it. But it's a twist, and I need to explain this to you so nobody don't get a misunderstanding. If you have some land in Mississippi, Alabama, Texas, Kentucky. They are growing hemp at an outrageous pace. I know it, I witness it, I understand it. I could sit at this table with you guys and you guys wouldn't believe because I come from South Central LA. And I'm not supposed to know about these things. But when Cheryl and Cherie stepped on my table, they was bringing something new to themselves. They wasn't bringing it new to me. I just didn't want to go down that venture because I was scared what somebody else was going to do to me to stop me from being rich and happy. So I decided to go another route. I went the production way. And I produced a whole lot of different outlooks for people to see and have an opportunity to get with a whole lot of other people. So today Cheryl sent me Mr. James Brady, Dr. Waterman, and Cherie sent me Mr. Cooper. So today we're going to have this conversation. It's going to be based on learning how to grow and learning how to contribute to the community. It's going to be based on you guys learning how to reach the new people and bring them inside your fold. So I'm going to go straight to James because I invited him personally. And I want to welcome you to the Green Believers Cannabis Show. And we talk about everything about cannabis and anything else you want to talk about. Welcome to the show, James.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. You're exactly right about farming. I was born and raised on a farm, and that was the last thing I wanted to do as a career. I mean, my grandfather had accumulated 200 acres, which was pretty amazing in Alabama, of all places, and growing up in the 60s. And I mean, I was already dealing with all of systemic racism and having to go past 4 schools every day just to get to the one that I chose because they had what they call freedom of choice schooling. But there were a lot of times I did not get on that bus to go to school because my grandfather, he was a pretty hard worker. Therefore, if he didn't see you standing in your location when he came around the curve to pick you up, I mean, outside of farming, he also drove the school bus for the entire county. So everybody was each one, teach one, you know, having a Jamaican career, if you will. But I was sick of that farming stuff, man. I tell you, I ran away from it, and actually all of my sisters and brothers. Nobody's farming today except for me. So, so after I had this blustery career in IT and telecommunications, I did understand the value of being independent and having my own business. So over the years I've had about 7 different businesses, and now this is the one that I feel more comfortable with is Moringa because of the healing properties that it contains that really helps everybody if you're into it spiritually, economically, or you just want to kind of spread it around and have other people to gravitate toward it. But the biggest thing that I've encountered thus far is it's been pretty miraculous, I could say, over the last 5 years. It's been urban agriculture.
Yes.
And one of the places where the state, they did make a mistake, I thought, was to have cannabis not under urban agriculture, but under its own separate classification. Now, if they had made it, put it in an urban ag ordinance, that meant that anybody in the community could be growing it in their backyards as a caregiver for someone maybe that lives next door. But they was into the taxation part of it, not restoring the vital ingredients that a community needs to thrive in. So, but at the same time, urban ag is like we now have a Department of Urban Agriculture, and I really think that that's going to be the game changer. But as it relates to cannabis and moringa and other specialty crops, The best farming advice I could give anybody is that if you're going to become an urban farmer, you should look at growing specialty crops, the ethnic specialty crops that has the highest market value. And, farming is a 90-10 proposition. It's mostly 90% market and 10% growing. Particularly the way I do it, I grow indoors, either aquaponically, hydroponically, or vermiponically. And in some of those cases, we're just using nutrient-based water to grow plants or fish. Or with vermiponics, it's more just using red worms, which I think is probably, out of all of the new sciences out there, I think growing with worms is probably, you just can't get past it. I mean, the worms that just perform a lot of different miracles underneath the soil, whether it's keeping it aerated. They also excrete more waste that goes into you recirculate your water system, so all of that waste drains back down into your reservoir, where it's then repumped back up, over time, and you're able to grow some of the fastest growing crops that's around. So yeah, urban agriculture we're just at the beginning stages of it. Now I know over the last, say, 3 or 4 years, there's probably maybe 50 cities across the country that has urban ag ordinances. Now what that allows a private citizen to do is to now, if you have an ordinance in place, there are a couple of different value-added things in there that you could include. One is like aquaponics, hydroponics, what we call a TIZ, tax incentive zone. Say if you own some property in a city that you want to lease out to a beginning farmer, well, the city will step in and give that farmer a tax credit, allow you to grow whatever you want to grow in that space, right? So it's things like that that needs to be incentivized, and a lot of the would-be beginning farmers around the nation have to gravitate toward that. But as I said, the biggest thing that has happened over the last 5 years has been the establishment of urban ag ordinances in the cities, because of, with COVID, urban ag just might be the thing that saves us all.
Hey, I think we had this conversation when I first met you, when we was at the convention, and we always try to figure out what's best for the community. And what you're growing right now is a medicine that I transfer into a seasoned salt also, because you gave me an opportunity and you sent me some leaves and said, try this out, and can you infuse them? Well, I can report to you that it's a simple method and it can be infused. And now everybody is running from this pandemic, and they're looking for some herbs instead of some medicine.
Right. Because
the only thing medicine's doing is getting people high, and it's taking away from their health. And we can't afford for that in the black community or the white community or any community for real. So if we can grow enough material to help these people out, however you guys want to put it, is Marengo, is his weed. Both of them was herb. Both of them were made by God, and he put it right on the soil for us to be helped by it. So here we are once again, James, and you growing with cell juice and the other things, and the crop look gorgeous. I could say that. I can tell everybody that if you guys paying attention, you need to ask them one day, can you come down to his farm and look at his crop? And then you may want to be a farmer, because it don't cost much money to be a farmer. It just costs a lot of time and effort, and you got to nurse the plants. And again, it's 90% of it go to the market, and the market is waiting to have it because there's a lack of it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you guys can sit back and learn how to grow oranges and apples and tomatoes and grapes, it's there. It's what you guys been waiting for, and you can't be knocked out of it, because it's right. It's the right time to do it, and everybody needs some help. So again, James, I don't know how good you're growing that stuff, but
It is good, man.
Where did you get this stale stuff from? That's where I'm lost at.
Well, it's one of the luxuries I have of being in Coachella Valley is being around abundance of farmers and biologists that's been practicing this stuff for a long time. And so taking my knowledge that I already acquired through my interactions with Dr. Waterman over the years, we found this location and went down and took a look, and we found out that the fish was eating moringa, the chickens were eating moringa, and these are different species. You won't find this type of tilapia in the grocery store. And, but the discovery was he started growing escargot. I'm like, I don't care nothing about no snails, right?
I'm with you.
But I knew all about fish waste, and it's all about nitrates, right? So if you can keep the ammonia levels down in your grow, and have those nitrates calibrated in a way, man, you're talking about some exponential growth and some healthy plants, as well as the fish and livestock and everything else, as a result of these species uptaking moringa in their diets. And not only did it decrease the farmer's feed bill, he also produces some pretty miraculous kinds of things that just make you go, wow. You know what I mean? So we're into our second phase of growing cannabis now. And so we expect, we started to grow December the 6th, and right now it's starting to flower.
Okay.
And I've never seen leaves as big as a dollar bill before on a cannabis plant.
All right.
But this is what it's looking like, and the flower is going to be just exponentially huge on top of that. But anyway, digress just a little bit. So I don't hug up all the time. But moringa is something that has been really, really dear to me over the last 6 or 7 years. And then I met Dr. Waterman, and she and I have been collaborating over the years. And finally, I told her about this show today, and she came down from Sacktown. And so we're here to spread the word, to encourage people to grow. You could buy it from me personally, but read up on it, learn all you can about it, and you will see the benefits from it.
That's good. So, Doc, I got a phone call yesterday by accident because I was in my store hanging out. I just got to finish the halfway house. And Cheryl called me like, hey, it's a Dr. Waterman coming down to see you. I said, who is that, Cheryl? She's like, man, just listen to me. I said, all right. She said, she's part of the community that you don't know about. I said, all right. And she's here to help best she can. And we sitting down and we going through a whole lot of different routes right now to make something great. And when we get finished, we're going to be international, where with James and Dr. Waterman, there's no telling how the community can transfer into something different. I said, all right. I said, so what do she do? She said, she's an expert in the field. I was like, what? She said, yeah, she's an expert in the field. I said, it's a sister? I said, you can call her a sister, however you want to call her, bro. You know how you get down. I said, all right. Okay, no problem. I said, well, the only thing that matters is she on our team. She said, nah, she's part of our team. And she would do the right thing. And I'm going to help her do the right thing. And I'm going to be on her side. She's going to be on my side. The only thing I expect you to do is make sure you treat her with respect and kindness, how you treat me, and make sure she's safe while she's in the city. I said, all right, no problem. So please, Doc, give me a little bit about you. I'm lost. You can catch me up, and I'm a quick learner.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's really a pleasure to be here, and thank you to Cheryl for inviting me down. Really all my thanks have kind of come back through James, who I've been at UC Davis for the last 6 years, and I was funded on a grant through the National Institute of Health to work in Kenya, and then also at UC Davis to kind of understand a bit more about the science behind moringa. And so I was in my office, and James had already been knowing other people in the department and knocked on my door, and that was, I don't know, maybe 6, 7 years ago. So since then, we've really been connecting, whether I was working in Kenya or working here. And my background's really in understanding the chemistry and the science behind what gives plants their medicinal properties.
Okay.
So I've spent a lot of time in Africa. My father was in East Africa, and I was a Peace Corps volunteer in West Africa about 20 years ago. So that was when I was introduced to the plant moringa, and it's native to India, but really grows throughout the tropics and subtropics. And they were using it to treat malnourished children and women, to increase weight gain and these very basic needs in rural villages where there was no running water, there's no electricity, and it's very far to find a doctor. So basically, the families and the community and the plants are the healers in the hospital.
Okay.
So I found this really fascinating and wanted to learn a bit more. I went to a clinic where they were diagnosing patients with Senegalese kind of modern doctors. So you would go in and, okay, it looks like you have diabetes, and then you would be sent to a traditional healer who knew the herbs that were best to treat that ailment. So I found it kind of this merging of Western and Eastern knowledge, or very traditional and modern science. So that's kind of the area that I like to operate in these translator, ambassador positions, and bringing people together. So I think there's a lot to learn from Africa, and I think there's a lot to learn from the U.S., and I've just been in this kind of fascinating story connecting it through the plants, and I'm just recently funded to promote moringa in California. So James has really helped me find other farmers and connect with people, and that's just kind of exploded into the momentum that's going on in the cannabis industry, I think. And really what it comes down to is why I focused on moringa is not just the science, is that when you start to look at how those things translate out, we're looking for crops, and some people call them superfoods, and the terms I'm trying to go to are more smart crops or heritage crops. I like that you call them ethnic foods, because these are crops that have been around for a while. They've stood through more environmental challenges. They haven't been manipulated genetically or bred for just economic traits. So really, when we're looking for these things like cannabis and moringa, they're meeting social needs in terms of health and equity. They can, if it's done correctly, and then environmental needs, so you're not putting as much fertilizer in the water treatment system, and then economic, so you want these to also build a profit for people. So I think that's possible, social, environmental, economic. If we're only doing business that makes money, that's an old narrative. It has to meet these other needs, and so there is now more imperative to get people who had previously been underrepresented and often actually exploited or pushed out of these markets. So that's what's really interesting, I think, about the Green Believers approach and Cheryl's approach, is that there are doors opening, and so how do you then navigate through? And it is about a community and a network of having people really on the ground, and then at the universities, at the private companies. And so, we want to be able to build where we can talk to everybody, and the conversations include policymakers and the people who are doing the work on the farm. Because there is a discrepancy. We all need food, and now in the U.S., the average age of a farmer is, approaching 55, 65. Young people don't want to do it. It's hard work. But yet we still have to eat, and we cannot eat the food that's, so far removed from where it's grown. So I think the idea of urban agriculture is excellent, and you have to have both, right? I remember going to Cuba a long time ago, and we went into Santiago, and everyone had a rooftop garden. They have their chickens and pigs and everybody. So when you go up in the city, it looks like a farm. It doesn't look like cement rooftops, and this idea that because if farming is in you, whether you live in a city or not, you keep that with you, right? So I think we have to bring that back, especially in communities. There's such an advantage to growing, even just having your fingers in the dirt. They've done studies where it can bring about happiness and serotonin levels, just by having engagement. And so I think it's good for students and schools, and a lot of your work has involved this as well. So I could talk forever and will stop, but I'm really happy to be working in this field of people who are excited and motivated and ultimately concerned about community and health and the younger generation. I also have a son who's growing up in the U.S. And so just seeing where the future is with the land and the community and the values is in my heart as well.
That's great. So I can say this right now, being part of the Green Believers, I be trying to make everything cool. And if you can make it cool, because cannabis is cool right now because everybody want a part of cannabis. And moringa, it's a health medicine. It help a whole lot of older people, as myself. And we use it in a manner where it's respectable. And when you use medicine like this, your blood pressure go down, your cholesterol go down. And then the youngsters see it like, man, you look young. Well, we use moringa. We don't use the different kind of pills that can offset you and have you addicted to it. And this is what we try to describe to everybody in our neighborhood. Like, it's a way where you can be all right. And this is putting people in the right position, in the right places, to tell them, look, you can grow cannabis, you can grow hemp. If you didn't know, you could really grow hemp in America. It's legal. You can grow moringa in America. It's totally legal. You can grow weed in some parts of America. It's legal. But if you round all of it together and put it in the same room with the right people, you can use it as a medicine to help the people out. It just don't have to be for you to get high off of. But it's also good for us to set back as a community and put all this together and profit off of it also, but also make it available for the older people who need it the most. So that's how I look at all of this stuff. And when Cheryl asked me to have this conversation with you, I said, all right, I ain't gonna drill about none of this stuff on where she going with it. But I'm pretty sure she's gonna take us down a journey, and that journey should be successful because you and James is on one page, and when you're on one accord, you find the things that you're seeking instead of looking for something to mistreat somebody with it. So that's why I sat here and I had this conversation with you guys, because I know it's a valid conversation and it's a truthful conversation. And each time that some people get together, they be trying to look for the bad part of everything. Well, I'm trying to look for the right part where we can team up together and make something great come out of it. So I thank both of you guys for being here.
It's excellent. I mean, I think the idea that's really going to connect the two is, in the delivery as medicine, but also the fact that moringa contains so many nutrients, it can then be used as a biofertilizer and a growth stimulant for cannabis and other specialty crops. So avocados, strawberries, the whole industry of California could be transformed by using it. And then there was one other thing I wanted to mention too with the smart crops. I just met this woman, Zion. She's the owner of an Ethiopian restaurant in Sacramento, and she's now also promoting teff, which is a grain similar to wheat, but it's only from Ethiopia. And it also has these very smart crop characteristics of being high in fiber and more nutritious, and then also being very drought tolerant and heat tolerant. So, this is another potential crop for new farmers to also grow and have these tools and have some sovereignty and empowerment that we can both, feed and heal and put money in our pockets with more freedom and decision-making power, I think.
That's great. Now, Ms. Cooper, I just met you 2 seconds ago.
I'm just meeting him too.
Now I'm gonna tell you a little secret. When you walked in here looking for somebody from the Green Believers.
Yes, sir.
And I just needed to hear the conversation that you was about to have. That's why I didn't step out there. I just needed to hear what you was about to say. And you're a veteran. And being a veteran, my cousin was a veteran. He passed away recently on a motorcycle. My brother's a veteran. And all veterans should have an opportunity to sit at the table and grow what they want to grow, because they already earned it. They earned that right in my eyesight. When you protect the people of America, nobody should ever question you when you say that you want to make your fish farm over here. You want to bring your brothers and make another farm over here. And you want to build tiny houses for Hut and all those other little things. Out of him. I will say this to you so you can understand it. When you get ready to go find the seeds that you need, don't go get rosebuds. If you go get rosebuds, you're going to grow oil. You got to get the other seeds to make sure it grow wood and semen, those items. So hemp is a big old circle with different seeds. And you got to take the time to see what you want. But you're going down the right place, get your agriculture license, and you can do just about anything you want to do. And it's true. The FDA is giving out a whole lot of licenses and a whole lot of grants, but you have to have a conversation with them. And being a veteran, they're going to let you get in the front of the line because they know you serve this country in the right manner. So I welcome you to the show, and you can tell me a little bit more.
All right. Well, thank you for having me, and I apologize for
no apology needed.
Came through here and looking for the Green Believers, and you were there, and also was told by Dr. here to look for James Brady. But not having done my research before I got in the door, I had no clue, to be honest, about the Green Believers, other than it must have been an organization that believed in either cannabis, marijuana, or doing something for the community to help. So that was good enough for me to come in. And I kind of got choked up by being invited because I thought it was going to be the fly on the wall, just here to listen while she was doing her podcast and then come in. So it was just totally floored me to find out that I was going to be a part of this conversation. So when we talk about the veterans, I want to go before the veterans and talk about how I came to be here. With my mom coming from Mississippi in 1959 to come west to try to create an opportunity for her family and for herself to be an entrepreneur. And what got me here, I was born in 61 in the hood, as we say, South Central Los Angeles, 43rd and Compton, in a society back then where people were getting high. I guess they called that underground. I can remember the cannabis, it was not about a female plant or a male plant. It was just a flower that popped on you when you lit it and got your shirt dirty and burned. And that was all we needed, was a nickel dime bag. So fast forward to right now, this thing became legal. And so many of my friends, as they said, you're either going to be in jail, 6 feet under, or out there dealing in drugs on a legal way. So after I went into the military and got involved with the military side of the house and understand rules and regulations, I retired 20 years later and decided to come back to help the community and give something back, not just for veterans, but for people that got caught up in the trap, things like that. So I did get my license to grow hemp. I wanted to grow cannabis, but again, these regulations where I am in a farming community, Antelope Valley, you can't get a license to grow marijuana. And it's amazing that I can grow 6 plants in the hood, but I can't grow legally on a farm that's zone farming and agriculture. So it just makes no sense. But at the same time, I just decided to go ahead and not to give up on it, but to figure out how to get around it. And I went to North Carolina, got over there with their Department of Agriculture, spent $250 to get an application to be approved to not only just grow hemp, but to sell it to market for $250 a year. So it's kind of amazing that in the hood where we use it regularly and it's for medicinal purposes, they keep us from being able to do it legally. And I think what they're doing is just setting up a trap for us to be able to get incarcerated behind it illegally. So that's just something I'm trying to help by providing some training, education, and understanding in the community of how to grow properly or how to grow legally, and starting off from the medicinal side of it, which is the CBD side and the hemp side, and then the other side, which they are giving money away to folks that are making money on the industrial side, which is how to take this same cannabis plant to do things like CBD products, to do things like hempcrete, how to use these functions to build your houses. Or, as a matter of fact, people don't know it in the community that this hemp product, industrial side, is used to do paneling for BMWs, Mercedes-Benz in the cars. So it's just other ways to make money off of a product that we've been incarcerated by. So my goal was to kind of like each one teach one, provide an education and opportunity for training, not just for veterans, but for our community, and giving it back.
That's great. I got to do a commercial for a second before I get killed. You know, the Green Believers believe in technical assistance to make sure that the people who have a license can be able to open their stores without any problems. And recently, a couple months ago, a few companies got indicted. They got indicted because they was using their credit card fraudulently. They was using their credit cards with marijuana. That's against the rules. And sometimes we find ourselves trying to follow suit. And when you follow suit, you got to pay for it with some time in prison. So if you have made a mistake, please come down to Whitey's Enterprise and the Green Believers and stop in the office so we can advise you on what you should not do and what you should do. It's anybody under social equity who is still searching for their license, and they went to the portal last year. The place is getting ready to open, wide open, and you need to come down on 3224 South Central Avenue or 3320 South Central Avenue and have that conversation with me and Cheryl. So again, we are back here live with my best guests in the world. They bringing me some new knowledge, and I got to share something with this brother right here so he could understand that in Los Angeles you can grow hemp. In Arizona you can grow hemp. In all 50 states you can grow hemp. The only thing they try to do is charge you a little bit too much in Los Angeles. They charge you $998 for a license to grow hemp. So yes, we are aware of it. And hemp is a different division from weed. They can't destroy you with hemp, but they can destroy you with weed if you do the wrong thing. And we trying to always help the brothers in the neighborhood so they don't go across that line and get destroyed. And yes, they do use hemp for all kind of different products, like 100 products you can use hemp with. And I've been messing with hemp for like 4 years now. And I stay away from a whole lot of things. I only mess with oils, and I could transfer oils so it can be used for a soda pop, or oils, or candy, or pies, under CBD. And I'm happy you there, showing the people which way to go. And they need some help in Carolina because some of them have an opportunity to touch it because they got some of the best soil in town. Because they used to use tobacco down there a lot. So if they can put their hands on the tobacco land, they already done cured that land. And if they can set back and get 100 acres, they can be in the game. But now I'm telling you the flip side without it. Hemp and weed is getting ready to be took over by the giant corporations. And if you guys don't put yourself in place right now, they're going to take everything from you where you'll never get an opportunity to have it again. So that's why I talk about this so hard in my conversations with people, that if you have an opportunity right now, before 2024 hit here, you need to take advantage of it, because the big companies are going to be coming in Los Angeles and other states. Like New Jersey just got licensed to grow marijuana, and there's many other states. But 2024, the big companies going to come and they're going to swoop in. It's already done brought so many pieces that people don't even know it. Like in the CB land, Walmart already done brought pieces all around, and they putting their stuff in Walmart, and it's theirs. It's legally their stuff. They just put a different name on it to camouflage it so nobody could know Walmart is in the cannabis world. So this is why I sat here and had this conversation with the people, with the masses, so they can understand it's your turn to get in line to do your job, because nobody's gonna do their job for you. So that's why I'm so overwhelmed to see you guys growing. And I can grow, but I just don't have the time, because you know, James, they got me out here doing this right here. Yeah. And that's how it goes. But James, I can't wait to come down to the farm and see all your little creations you done made, because it's been a long journey.
Well, it's quite a journey, especially since October. I think Dr. Waterman and I were talking maybe a month or so ago about this journey. Has intensified like 100% since October. I was invited to participate in a 3-day webinar October out of India, and I don't know how these people found me, but they found enough information to get in touch with me and asked me did I want to participate. I said sure. So it means I had to get up at 5:30 every morning for 3 days. I'm like, okay. So during the 3 days, I was on the last day. I'd learned so much over 48 hours, and then now coming into the day when I'm doing my presentation, and I'm like, what's so different about what my presentation is opposed to what I've seen with these farmers and all of the research that had came out of the university. And well, when it was all over and said and done, I think I got so much satisfaction from the fact that they were very interested in how to grow hydroponically, aquaponically, and just growing in a different way. To a degree, well, you know, one of the biggest things with moringa is leaf production, so we need to increase leaf production around the world just to keep up with demand, and demand is, I've seen numbers 25 billion, 30 billion all over, you know, the world in terms of consumption. It's the right thing to do right now to grow, and it is, particularly in this country because it's not that well known. You need to be in an 8.5, a 9 zone to really maximize the growth potential of it. So in the Deep South, you know, restoring the land, reparations, if you want to call it reparation. This tree can get you to reparations, unlike the government, because it will generate wealth as well as increase the health in that community. So, so part of my mission is to teach people how to grow successfully in their backyard, indoors or outdoors, but in particular indoors, because as I said earlier, with urban ag, the greatest potential to make $150,000 a year, you could do it in the city quite easily. Just get on a rooftop and grow specialty crops. You can't see it. So, okay, James, well, you get to connect all of these dots and doing that stuff. Well, it's just a simple thing of with technology, you should be able to operate your phone from the palm of your cell phone, right? Now, what does that mean? It means I have an app that connects growers with buyers. I can also calibrate the dosage of nutrients that's going to my plants daily, right? So the science is there. It's in a controlled environment or non-controlled environment, but I think that the potential for moringa worldwide is just gone to a level I never had a clue about, and I'm sure Dr. Waterman has, but I've just been taken by storm. So to a degree where, so since October, I was on a Zoom call with 40 countries in Africa back in January. There was a pledge made of 150 million euros to set up a international federation of moringa growers and producers, right? 14 countries. Well, they are in the process right now of getting the first one set up in the Netherlands. Ran into a little bit of a COVID problem, like you have to be quarantined for 14 days after you get there before you can actually do any business. So I was told by the end of April that should be set up. Now there also will be a North American chapter set up, and they tapped me to run it, to be the executive director. So the journey continues. I have no idea where all of this is going. I'm pleased to know that BMW funded it, and these are some pretty amazing people that I would never ever talk to in my life. Kings and queens and dukes, you know. I'm like, That's way above my pay grade, right?
Hey, but it come. It come.
It's happening, and it's
There were
called
long introductions. I know you had to say the Royal Highness and the Royal. The titles of people were quite long in some of those meetings.
Yeah, and then they start calling me Dr. Brady. I'm not a doctor. Don't do that to me. You can call me Eco Bro. That's fine, but to get into, I don't want to misrepresent anything that I ever done or that I know. So, it's quite a journey, and I'm just fascinated with the fact that we have the ability now to take hemp, CBD from cannabis or both, infuse it with moringa, create some whole new superfoods for cancer patients.
Yes.
Or senior citizens, right?
Yes.
Now, we don't need to go to a laboratory to do that. We could do this on our own. We don't need permission from the government. Just grow it, do what you got to do, and many happy returns.
Hey.
So the last thing I'll say, Whitey, is so what Dr. Waterman is going to be doing over the next couple of years all over the state is encouraging people to grow, talking to various farmers, incentivizing the community, and I'm just delighted to be a part of it. So we're reaching way beyond the borders of California as well. So.
Yeah, I can mention, just related to Los Angeles and then that global context as well, there was a recent, kind of outside of moringa and other crops, there was a recent call from the University of California's Global Health Institute. So this is one that spans all 10 campuses, and they're looking to form a center of expertise that addresses diversity and concepts such as decolonizing food systems. So I put in a proposal with our long and growing list of collaborators and partners, both within California, within the South. We have strong collaborators in Alabama and Arkansas, and then also a lot of people in East Africa, including Kenya, Uganda, and Rwanda. There's an African Leadership University in Rwanda that I've been working with fairly tightly, and they're trying to really change the narrative of leadership there. So all of these people are on this long list of basically having podcasts talking about their work related to food justice, and kind of all of these different stories that we tell, and that will then provide both networking and an ability for often what's siloed in academia in terms of the science and this, forced to find this objective answer, which is good. For example, I mean, the cannabis and the moringa, there needs to be more clinical testing. As a scientist, I would say that, CBD has higher claims than what I've actually seen sometimes. So there's also an element of not over-talking things. People will call moringa a miracle tree that can cure 300 diseases. And that's a dangerous kind of statement, because how much are you taking? What's the dose? What age are you? All of those are scientific questions. But the problem is scientists can get stuck there and then not connect with the community. So this center would then help to bring people together. So universities can then reach out to community people, and community people can have academics helping them. So I think I'd really like Cheryl to play a key role in this, and then we're hoping that the center could be at UCLA eventually as if we get awarded. So we'd welcome other people from the community. Ron, you're certainly welcome to come and talk on that panel as well. So, and then, just having basically a center for people who are trying to do this, who need help. I have skills in writing grants, but I don't know how to grow moringa in certain climates or a right amount to put in a fish food. So it's no problem. You just find those people who can then help. So I'm also hoping to help and collaborate with Ron on an up-and-coming USDA grant. I think you know the specific title, but it's for new beginning farmers, and then that's exactly what we'll do. You have the skills and know how to do the outreach and the farming and the technology, and then I can help make sure that we check the right boxes and tell them what we want to hear, so they know that this is a vetted and a project that's going to be successful and sustainable.
We thank you all for that. Ron, tell us something. Tell us something.
Well, I just want to start from, again, what the doctor here said. I'm new at this, but I'm not new at this.
Okay.
I got high when I was 12 years old. We grew. The military people, I haven't gotten high since I joined the military. This is how dedicated I was to not go to jail. Went to jail for a weekend, juvenile hall.
Okay.
And it's a serious story, but it was enough for me to realize you guys will never see me again.
Okay.
And I kept my promise again. But now this is a legal a substance that we're using, the moringa. One of my thoughts in the back of my head when I named my first business company, R.J. Cooper Enterprises, an LLC, about 13 years ago. If you guys know the cigarette company, R.J. Reynolds, and Philip Morris. And I said, if it's good enough for R.J. Reynolds to make all this money smoking cigarettes, it's going to be good enough for R.J. Cooper to do a legal product and put it out across the country on just how to do it the right way, whether it's CBD and medicinal. My mom died from cancer, so on the medicinal side, I've got with a friend of mine, now she's my partner in crime, Dr. English. She's got a PhD in education. And one thing that struck me on the medicinal side, when she met me, it was so funny. She says, Ron, I got to disclose something to you. I hope it won't bother you. She says, I get high. Which she had no idea. I was growing cannabis in hemp. I said, is that all you got? So it's just a stigma, again, that people in the educational field, she says, I vape. I says, and she says, Ron, let me tell you what this plant has done for me. I had some medical issues at the time. They were going to have surgery on me. Okay. And she's very conscious about, she's a vegetarian, eating right. So she says, I decided to tighten up what I was going to eat with superfoods. And she found out about this CBD and this flower. And so she started taking it. And by the time it was for her to go through surgery, she said, can you guys check again one more time to see if this problem is still there? The problem went away. So she was instantly cured. She took it to the next step further. Her mother is 88 years old. She's having back pains in South Carolina. And she made up this, I guess it's the oil with the flour plus whatever they do as far as putting that little tincture together. And she gave that to her mom, a year's worth of it. And her mother has no more pains, no more back pains. She can set up, she can function, she can walk around. So that told me, and it was confirmed, that it was more than just getting high. It's more than just CBDs. People say it mellows you out or it gives you calmness. It actually heals. And when I see a testimony like that, I only wish that I had the ability to give that to my mom, who passed from cancer, had suffered through the pains and things like that. So we decided to create it's not a cannabis store. We won't do CBD stores. We won't do smoke shops. What we call it is a wellness center. It's a combination of the plant, the medicine, and nutrition. So with the moringa coming into the component, it's just this epiphany. I'm like, now not only can we teach health and wellness, we've got an ethnic product, which I love to say ethnic product, that we can sell and we can teach people how to use. This 6 plant per household rule in California is more than enough for people to sustain themselves. We just have to educate them, and some folks may not have the time. But just with a 4x4 indoor grow tent, we just provide them with the opportunity to understand how the kit works, or create a co-op where if you can't afford to do that, we will do it for you, we'll grow it for you. And I'm going to put myself on the limb. I didn't get the intellectual properties, but I created a company outside of the corporations called Simply Yours. And all that means is what we do, we teach you. It's simply yours. You can be in California, you can be in Nevada, you can be in North Carolina. We show you how to start a basic business or being your own business. Create your LLC. And when you got your LLC, as long as it's simply yours of Nevada, simply yours of North Carolina, that's your product.
That's great.
That's great. Well, I'm happy to see all you guys doing these great things. And CBD is a great item to have on your shelf. 'Cause, you know, I own a CBD store, and yes, I sell a lot of it. And a whole lot of people sometimes get lost on CBD, because when you turn around, everybody's cutting CBD down so they can make this great profit. But CBD is not for profit. It really is for to sell it at a great rate, so the people can take it and have the medicine they need for their backs to stop hurting. It's for lupus. It's for all different things. I got a niece, a little cousin, that she called me and tell me, hey, you know how bad I'm in pain. I went down the street and brought some CBD oil and didn't do nothing for me, cousin. I said, all right, I'll send you some down there. So you can use it in baby bath, bubble bath, all kind of hair products. You can use this product in everything for real. You can drink it, you know, you can rub it on your body. And then you double it up and you have some moringa. And you use that also. So here we are again. We're in a new shift in America. And it's different elements now that a herb can really help you. And this is what we're talking about today. We're talking about a herb. We're not talking about anything else. We're talking about the herb that God put on the ground for us to be well with, where everybody been holding it back so we couldn't be well. Because they've been looking at these great big old pharmaceutical companies and they've been protecting them for years. So as we close this door, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to mean it from the bottom of my heart. I have 3 of the greatest people that you can get in one room at one time. And Mr. Brady, Miss Waterman, and Mr. Cooper, they form businesses that can help you. So go check them out, and they'll help you out, and your health will be better. This is why they're signing off for today, and you guys have a great day, and thank you guys for coming out.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.